Welcome to the Paper Garden, a creative place within Grace and Grains where paper, journaling, and handmade details are gently cultivated. I was asked to be a participant on a design team with Created by Jovi, and what she is planning is 14 days of Valentine's Day cards using a couple of her Valentine Day packages that she's created. This beautiful one is called Victorian Valentine's Day, and so it's full of rich red roses and pink roses and birds and lots of cherubs, all to create a beautiful Valentine's Day card. My goal was to take her paperwork and turn it into cards day by day, today being day one. What I did was, after I printed out all the paperwork, I then lined up some generic cards like this, and I had them all lined out, and then I went through and I found some cardstock that matched, and then I went in to create the card. And this is the card we're going to create today using this page. But just off the bat, I want to share something with you. This is extremely muted and almost like a pastel, and this is bright and vibrant. This is what the kit should look like. I bought a new printer, but now I've learned the difference between good paper and better paper. And so we're going to go ahead with the better paper and create this one today. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my generic card that I had, and I'm going to glue this on top of it. So I've already cut these out. They're just a little shy of each one. And just taking my glue stick and picking that up and then laying that flat right on the card to create that. That just gives a little bit more dimension than putting it straight on the card. The next thing I'm going to do is take the actual paper, and I do not print mine borderless. Either my computer doesn't offer, or printer doesn't offer it, or it just seems that's the way I do it. But that's okay. So I've cut out all the corners. However, you'll see down here, I still have one of the corners here, but I did it like a cheat sheet. I have some information down here for the other cards that I'll be making this week. And then the next thing I'm going to do is tear this page out. And so what I like to do is I just hand tear, and as you see, as I tear towards myself, it leaves this white border. Now, I just started art journaling in August of last year, so it's only been a few months. And when I started into something like this, it was almost kind of funny because I've never done cards before. And I told Jovi, this is going to have to be new for me, as I've never done cards. I do art journals. And I've made quite a few of the art journals, and they've been really fun. But I'm going to go ahead and create my cards almost with my art journal effect. And that's why we put a little bit of vintage Distress Oxide here on the corners to give it that older look, like me, older. Then we take our glue and we're going to glue this down. And I get like a rough glue to it, but then I do have another glue I go back in a little bit later, and if there's any sides picking up, I pick it up and I can stick it right in. Next, I'll take this little beautiful sweet cherub out of here, and I'm going to pull him off and completely detail the information right around his little wing. However, what I'll do is, as I pull all these different papers off and together, I do save all my scraps, and you'll see as we get towards the end of the week what I do with my scraps. I was so excited about this project, I went out and bought a new thing of ink. So it's a little on the shy side of getting a nice clear piece. But we'll make it. And if we don't, a handmade card is still special to anybody that would receive it. So after putting that on, we'll add a little bit more glue on the back. And place him right down into this area. See, and already I'm losing my wing. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this and we'll just tear this piece off. Put a little bit on the corner there. And then the next thing I have is towards the back of the kit. So this continues on. As you can see, this is from the duller, older material. So this was still good paper, I thought. Maybe I didn't print it out on the right copy, but what it does when you have inexpensive paper, it absorbs the ink instead of creating the ink on top. But a few more pages here in the package. These will be, I can use these for belly bands. I've now printed this on more of a cardstock. It's a little bit thicker. I can use these into like pockets in different areas. But on this last page, look how rich that is. I love this one. It's so pretty. She has a few cutouts, and I've already cheated here and I've pre-cut this out myself. And we're going to just kind of trim this up a little bit. And again, a little bit more distressing on the sides, just a little bit more color. And I can slide that right in between. Now to add a little sparkle to it, I went and got this cool kit. So this is a jewel picker upper. It's my official term, picker upper. And then I picked out these choice of colors. I think it's pretty. I've got two kits I'm going to be working out, and one of it is going to be this Victorian Valentine's, which is primarily red, and the kit that I'll be starting on tomorrow is called Love in the Air, and that has more of this beautiful purple theme. I can't wait to show you some things off of that tomorrow. So I'm going to use a little bit of artist glue and put this right here on the tip just to give a little bit of color. And let's go in with a bigger piece. So what this does is you have a little bit of wax and you put the wax on the bottom of that, but it goes in and it picks it right up and lays it right down and adds just a little bit of a bling to it. One more thing I wanted to add to it was what's called a cluster. Now clusters are a combination of papers, and it's like 5 papers is what I try to do. A plain paper, a music paper, some form of lace, and then the top piece. Also, sometimes you can put a sentiment in there, and that adds to that. What I wanted to do to just replicate this one was this bird that's down here. So again, I'm going to pull out this bird. Another way that you can rip this out is this is a really interesting ruler. I got this off of Temu, but it's a Terry ruler, but look how it tears the paper. I just love that rough edge like that. But again, we'll pull this out and we're going to add a few elements to it. Now I do a lot of master work, or bulk work, as I like to call it. And I'll sit down and make 20 of these at a time while I watch TV. So I'm going to take a piece of lace and cut this off. just to put behind it like that. And we can put just like a prettier little bird right down here in the end. Now to add a few more pieces to that cluster, like I was saying, is you can use some music paper, or these are doilies that I make. I don't make the doilies, excuse me, but I do coffee dye them. I've learned so much in the art journaling world, and so this has been a real plus to do something like this. I'm gonna go back and take my glue and just add swoops of glue. Put my little lace on there. We'll dollop on the back of that, and we'll stick this right down in the middle. Now I'm making all of my cards with different themes, using the different love themes. I am from, my page is actually Grace and Gardens, so it's weaving the grace of God through the garden. So I will be putting like different scriptures on all of mine. So this will be like, this is going to be love, and then inside would be 1 John 4:19. So we'll cut that out, and that'll be the next part. And I created that off of this vellum. And with vellum, interesting thing about vellum, if you want like a little bit of a curved, is you use these little curved scissors. Now my mother-in-law was a seamstress, and she must have had 30 pairs of scissors when she passed. And I was really fortunate to get her scissors. But what I learned with this is you take a piece of silicone, and you magically put some glue on the back, and stop. Okay, and through the magic of editing, I have my piece of vellum cut out. I'm going to take a little bit of just your basic Elmer's glue and lay it on the silicone. Now the silicone is actually something that I got from Wilton from doing some baking, and I'm using one of my little finger adapters and just sliding the glue all over on the back side, and that way when you lay it in, you get this nice smooth stick to it. And I have a little bit of a smudge from the other glue, but not only is this my first experience of doing cards, this is also my first experience, or actually now my third, of doing YouTube videos. So I don't know how to edit this out, but I'm gonna let it go because, again, I still think it's a handmade card, and I still think it's beautiful with my little additions to it. Another thing that I do on my cards, when I was making them to begin with, was the 14 that I made, is on the back, I always sign them, put down Rhonda, and then this is for 2026, and then -1. So this is my first card. I do have all 14 set up, and tomorrow, just as a hint, this is Love in the Air, and this is going to be what we'll work on tomorrow. So thanks for spending time with me today in the paper garden, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. One last thing, I just want to take a moment to thank Jovi from Creating with Jovi to invite me to be part of her design team. There's a total of 14 of us between her design team and guest team, and I'll link all of their YouTube channels in the description below. But the paperwork that I'm working with is coming from Jovi's Etsy page, so make sure you check that out. And if you want to join me going forward, I will always let you know the day before which package I'm working on, so if you want to gather your supplies and we can do it together. That's how I learned. So thank you again for Jovi for your generosity and creativity and your trust. I'm truly honored to be part of this 14 days of Valentine's Day cards to help showcase your work. Thank you.